Hello everyone, and welcome back to HTML and CSS lessons on Codecademy. So last time we finished the project on specifiers. Today we're going to be looking at not specifiers, or we might actually be using specifiers to achieve what we're doing. So let's find out. Alright, now that you know all about CSS, it's time to learn the last but certainly not least major piece of the puzzle, positioning. Controlling the position of HTML elements always allows you, not always, it allows you for incredibly fine control over how your page looks. No longer will your divs sit directly on top of one another, unless you really want them to. So I think that's what we had a problem with last time. So as we mentioned, elements populate the page in what's known as the CSS box model. Each HTML element is like a tiny box or a container that holds the pictures and text you specify. So here, ooh, I put O2 there. Here it's holding the picture, or no, that's not a picture, that's, oh yeah, that is an image. So that image, there it's holding that text, the title is result, and here it's holding this text, which is there. Check out the image in the results tab. That's what the box model looks like. So we'll cover the details of margins, borders and padding in the next section. Also, when I first saw this, I actually thought that it was actually put in here, but I just realized that that's the image, as you can see. Okay, so maybe we're going to be making that in code. That would be interesting. So see for yourself, use the universal selector to draw a 1 pixel dashed border of hex color. That's gonna be red, green, blue. That's gonna be blue around every HTML element. Universal selector. Okay, let's do that. And border 1px dashed and 0000ff semicolon. There we go. So as you can see now, you can see that. Let's make it a bit bigger so that it's more noticeable. There we go. So now you can see a border around everything. I don't really understand the point of it, but I guess it's just for us to do it. Oh, right. It wants us to have it as 1 pixel. Fair enough, let's move on. Taking up space. So each HTML element gets its own box to live in. As you saw, the outermost box of each element went all the way across the page. This is why until now your HTML elements have been sitting on top of one another. By default, they take up the full width of the page. And you might not really want that sometimes. We can change all this with the first positioning property we'll learn. Display property. We'll learn about 4 possible values. So why you might not want it to take up the full width is because sometimes you just have a sentence that goes from, say, here to here, but and you want its background color to be, I don't know, red. But if you put background color to be red, it's going to not just take up for the space for the text, but the whole width of the page, and that doesn't look too nice. So we have block. This makes the element a block box. It won't let anything sit next to it on the page. It takes up the full width. So inline block, this makes the element a block box, but will allow other elements to sit next to it on the same line. Inline, this makes the element sit on the same line as another element, but without formatting it like a block. It only takes up as much width as it needs, not the whole line. So that looks like the most useful one to me so far. And none, this makes the element and its content disappear from the page entirely. Okay, I don't know why you would want to do that. Let's get cracking. Set the display of all divs to block. Oh, okay. I'm guessing it wants us to do that in CSS. Display and block. Is that what it wants us to do? Yeah, that's all it wants us to do for now. So let's move. Good work. If you didn't notice much of a difference, don't worry, our divs were block elements by default. So as we specify different display values, they'll start to move around. As mentioned, any element that comes in as a block, say a paragraph, will automatically take up the full width of a page, no matter how much or how little content you put in it. If we specify a display of inline block, however, our blocks are still blocks, but will be able to sit next to each other on the same line. Okay, so let's see what happens then. So change the display property of all of your divs to the value of inline block instead of block. Okay, and now we have a row of elements. Instead of having a column of blocks, now we have a row of blocks. So I guess that's what inline block does. And that is more interesting compared to what we had previously, which was no change at all. Okay, so inline, did you see that? Your divs all moved onto the same line. Yep. You can already start to see how this type of positioning can be useful for navigation bars like the one at the top of main Codecademy page, where you can click, learn, teach, and so on. And even Facebook and I think Google.com might have it, maybe. Can't remember right now. But yeah, a lot of web pages have a row of buttons that you can click to lead you to some other places of the web page. Not web page, website. The inline block value allows you to put several block elements on the same line. So the inline value places all your elements next to one another, but not as blocks. They don't keep their dimensions. Try and see all your divs to have a display value of inline. Okay, so without the block. Oh, okay, that's interesting. We just have that now. Do they just take up enough space for whatever they have inside? Yep. So they take up exactly enough space for whatever they have inside of them. And what was it? And they're also in a row instead of a column. Okay, let's move on. None. The good news is inline places all your elements on a single line. The bad news is that it doesn't maintain their boxedness. Okay, as you saw, all your divs got squished into the smallest possible width. Yes, they did. So the inline display value is better suited for HTML elements that are blocks by default, such as headers and paragraphs. Definitely paragraphs. I'm not too sure, or actually headers work the same, so yeah. Headers and paragraphs, because as I mentioned before, if you do background color on headers and paragraphs, then you get the whole width. But if you do this styling, the inline styling, then you will get them to a certain spot. Finally, we'll try the display value of none. You might expect this prevents the page from displaying the selected element. As you might not expect, this removes the selected element from the page entirely, including any children and any content. So but not gone forever. Okay, so if let's just see what it does. None. So it completely removes them. I don't know. Okay, maybe it's going to tell us how that's useful. We set it, and no, it's not going to tell us how it's useful in this lesson. So what I can see how this could be useful maybe is if you click a button and you want them to disappear for some time until you click something else, then you want to make them reappear. In case of, I don't know, display problems, it depends. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments down below. If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe. If you didn't like it, click the dislike button and tell me in the comments down below why you didn't like it, so that I can improve for next time. But until that next time, thank you guys so much for watching.